Hello, friends. Are you ready to explore the fascinating world of The Life List? Released on March 28, 2025, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're bringing you all the hidden gems, stunning details, and unforgettable moments. If you enjoy this deep dive, be sure to hit that like button. It really helps our channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more exciting movie explorations. Let's jump right in and uncover the magic together. In the ever-evolving world of cinematic storytelling, certain films have the power to reach deep into our emotions, shaking our perspectives on life and relationships. The Life List, a heartwarming yet thought-provoking romantic comedy drama released on March 28, 2025, on Netflix, is one such film. Adapted from Lori Nelson Spielman's best-selling novel, this captivating story revolves around a young woman's journey of self-discovery, family secrets, and life goals, all while embracing the beauty of romance and personal growth. With a stellar cast led by Sofia Carson and Kyle Allen, The Life List has rapidly become one of the most discussed films of the year, inviting viewers into a world of introspection, life-altering decisions, and stunning visuals that will leave them captivated from start to finish. At its core, The Life List is a story about second chances, both in life and love. It seamlessly blends heartwarming moments with emotional depth, creating a narrative that resonates with viewers of all ages. What makes the movie stand out, aside from its intriguing premise, is its ability to explore themes that transcend age, gender, and background. The universal message of setting goals, reflecting on past decisions, and taking control of one's destiny is one that will strike a chord with anyone who has ever questioned their purpose in life. Beyond its thought-provoking themes, the movie excels in its portrayal of relationships, both familial and romantic. The rawness of human connections is beautifully captured, allowing the audience to experience the bittersweet nature of life's unpredictable twists. The movie doesn't shy away from the complexities of personal growth, making it a rewarding watch for anyone in search of inspiration or introspection. But it's not just the themes that draw people in. It's the sheer cinematic experience that The Life List delivers. From its stunning visuals to its carefully crafted set designs, the movie is a visual feast, one that takes you through scenic locations, charming moments, and unforgettable sequences that will remain etched in your memory long after the credits roll. The plot of The Life List is as enchanting as it is unpredictable. It follows Alex Rose, Sofia Carson, a woman who, after the sudden passing of her mother Elizabeth, played by Connie Britton, finds herself grappling with an emotional loss that has left her feeling lost and uncertain about her future. When Alex uncovers a list that her mother had created when Alex was a child, a list of dreams and goals that Alex was supposed to fulfill over the course of her life, she is left with a profound sense of urgency. Her mother's wishes and the unresolved dreams listed on the paper seem to speak directly to her soul, igniting a desire to embrace the unfinished parts of her life. Determined to honor her mother's memory, Alex sets out to fulfill each goal, but the journey is far from easy. She is thrust into a whirlwind of emotions, from moments of pure joy to gut-wrenching realizations that force her to face her deepest fears and regrets. Along the way, she meets Brad, Kyle Allen, a charming yet mysterious man who becomes an unexpected ally on her journey of self-discovery. As Alex and Brad work together to check off items from the list, their bond grows, leading to an unexpected romance that deepens the emotional complexity of the story. While the story's primary focus is Alex's personal growth, the narrative also explores themes of family dynamics, secrets, and the impact that unspoken wishes can have on our lives. The film cleverly weaves in these elements, making the plot richer and more layered than your typical romantic comedy. The characters are multifaceted and relatable, making it easy for viewers to see themselves in their struggles and triumphs. The story is filled with twists that keep the audience on the edge of their seat, unsure of what will happen next but certain that every turn will lead to a greater understanding of the characters and their journeys. The performances in The Life List are truly exceptional. Sofia Carson, known for her ability to embody complex emotional states, delivers a heartfelt portrayal of Alex. Her vulnerability, strength, and determination shine through in every scene, making her journey all the more compelling. Kyle Allen's portrayal of Brad complements Carson's performance beautifully. His portrayal of a supportive yet enigmatic figure adds a sense of intrigue and depth to the film, keeping viewers guessing about his own backstory and motivations. Connie Britton, in her role as Alex's mother, plays a key part in the emotional undercurrent of the film, despite her limited screen time. Her presence lingers throughout the movie, reminding Alex and the audience of the power of unfulfilled dreams and the legacy we leave behind. What truly elevates The Life List is its stunning cinematography. The film takes full advantage of its picturesque settings, from tranquil forests to bustling cityscapes. Each location feels thoughtfully chosen to reflect the emotional beats of the story, adding an extra layer of depth to the film. The vibrant color palette and seamless transitions between scenes further enhance the storytelling, making the movie not only a feast for the eyes, but also an immersive experience that pulls you into its world. The film's pacing strikes a delicate balance between lighthearted moments and more intense, introspective scenes. The quiet, reflective moments allow for introspection, giving viewers the space to connect with the characters and their emotional growth. These moments are contrasted by bursts of humor and romance, which keep the story from becoming too heavy. This balance ensures that the movie remains engaging and accessible, appealing to a wide range of viewers. Audiences have been captivated by The Life List for several reasons. The film's combination of relatable characters, touching themes, and unpredictable plot twists has struck a chord with many. Viewers have found themselves reflecting on their own lives, re-examining their goals, relationships, and the paths they've chosen. The film's exploration of unfinished dreams and the desire to live a fulfilling life resonates deeply with those at a crossroads or in search of meaning. The romance, while central to the story, doesn't overshadow the personal journeys of the characters, allowing viewers to feel that they are on this emotional roller coaster alongside Alex and Brad. Additionally, The Life List has become a cultural touchstone for those seeking inspiration or a reminder of the importance of following one's heart. The film's impact goes beyond its entertainment value. It has encouraged many to take a closer look at their own life lists, whether literal or metaphorical, and take steps toward fulfilling their own dreams. Some viewers have even cited the film as a catalyst for making life-altering decisions, whether it's pursuing a long-forgotten passion or letting go of toxic relationships. The movie's unexpected twists also contribute to its appeal. Just when it seems like the story is heading in one direction, it pivots, keeping the audience on their toes. The layers of secrets uncovered throughout the film add depth to the plot, making the story feel more complex and engaging than your typical romantic comedy drama. As Alex navigates her way through both her mother's unfulfilled dreams and her own desires, the stakes grow higher, making the film's climax all the more emotionally satisfying. For those who appreciate films that leave them thinking long after the credits have rolled, The Life List offers a treasure trove of emotions and reflections. It's a film about taking risks, embracing love, and honoring the past while looking toward the future. The powerful performances, evocative visuals, and profound themes make this movie worth the deep dive it so richly deserves. In conclusion, The Life List is not just another romantic comedy drama. It's a cinematic journey that explores the intersection of personal growth, family, and the pursuit of dreams. With its compelling plot, standout performances, stunning visuals, and universal themes, it's a film that stays with you, urging you to reflect on your own life and the unfulfilled dreams that might still be waiting to be realized. Whether you're in need of a heartwarming escape or a thought-provoking experience, The Life List delivers on both fronts, making it a must-watch for 2025. The Life List opens with a quiet, intimate scene that sets the tone for the emotional journey to come. The camera pans through a peaceful suburban neighborhood as the sound of birds chirping fills the air. Inside a cozy house, we meet Alex Rose, Sofia Carson, a bright and ambitious woman in her late 20s, who is dealing with the recent death of her mother, Elizabeth Rose, Connie Britton. The death, while expected due to her mother's long battle with illness, still hits Alex with a brutal force, leaving her feeling unmoored and uncertain of her future. The house, filled with memories of a life lived and now lost, stands as a metaphor for Alex's own emotional state. Empty, quiet, and lacking purpose. The film's early moments establish Alex as someone who has spent much of her life living in the shadow of her mother's expectations. Elizabeth was a driven woman who had big dreams for herself and for Alex, often pushing her daughter to succeed in a way that, though well-intentioned, sometimes felt suffocating. Alex, however, never fully understood her mother's ambitions, and her relationship with her was complicated by the weight of unmet expectations. Now, after Elizabeth's passing, Alex finds herself confronting not only the grief of losing her mother, but also a gnawing emptiness, a sense of having lived her life according to someone else's script. As Alex begins the painful process of sorting through her mother's belongings, she stumbles upon an old, worn notebook hidden among the stacks of papers in her mother's desk drawer. Inside the notebook, she discovers something surprising: a life list that her mother had created when Alex was a child. This list is not just a set of random dreams but a collection of carefully thought-out goals and aspirations that Elizabeth had intended for Alex to fulfill over the course of her life. The list includes things like travel to Paris, learn to play the piano, and fall in love with someone who challenges you. Each goal is marked with a date, some of which have passed and others which remain unfinished. The discovery of the list serves as both a catalyst for the plot and a window into the complexities of the mother-daughter relationship. For Alex, it's as if her mother has left behind a final request, an unspoken plea for her to complete these dreams, to live a life full of passion and adventure, something Alex has yet to truly experience. The list, with its tangible, structured goals, provides Alex with a roadmap for the future, but also an overwhelming weight of responsibility. She feels both compelled to honor her mother's wishes and resentful that her mother never gave her the space to make her own choices. This tension forms the emotional heart of the film, as Alex grapples with her conflicting feelings of duty, love, and rebellion. In the wake of this discovery, Alex finds herself at a crossroads, unsure of how to proceed with her life. Her job at a small marketing firm no longer excites her, and her relationship with her longtime boyfriend, Ethan, played by a guest star in a brief but poignant role, feels more like a routine than a romance. She's stuck, treading water in a life that no longer feels hers. Her mother's death has forced her to reckon with her choices, or lack thereof. Alex, who had always been focused on others' needs, now must focus on herself, but she's unsure where to begin. This uncertainty is compounded by the presence of Brad, Kyle Allen, a charming but mysterious man who enters the scene early on in the story. Brad is the son of a family friend, someone Alex has known for years but never really paid attention to. He's just returned to town after a long absence, and his reappearance is both a surprise and a reminder of Alex's own unsettled feelings about her life. Brad is an artist who's always followed his passions, never tied down by the conventional expectations that Alex has struggled with. He represents the freedom and spontaneity that Alex has always admired but never allowed herself to embrace. Their first meeting after Brad's return is a quiet but charged moment. Alex is out for a walk, trying to clear her mind, when she runs into him at the local coffee shop. He's different now, older, more self-assured, and perhaps a little more enigmatic. They exchange pleasantries, but there's an undeniable tension between them, as if the years apart have allowed both of them to evolve in unexpected ways. Brad's presence disrupts Alex's world in a way she doesn't fully understand, but she's drawn to him nonetheless. This attraction becomes a subtle undercurrent in the early part of the film, an unexplored thread that will eventually pull them closer together as the narrative unfolds. The tension between Alex's desire for freedom and her sense of obligation to her mother's list becomes a central theme in the first half of the film. Alex makes a decision. She will embark on the journey of fulfilling her mother's dreams, but she does so with a sense of reluctance and confusion. Each goal on the list feels like a challenge, a test of her ability to step outside the box her mother had created for her, while also trying to honor the woman who loved her. The first task on the list is a seemingly simple one: take a trip to Paris. For Alex, Paris represents everything she's never experienced: adventure, culture, romance. It's the perfect opportunity to break free from the life she's been living and take control of her destiny. However, Alex's first foray into fulfilling the list is far from easy. She begins planning her trip with all the excitement of someone embarking on a grand adventure. But soon, the reality of the logistics and the emotional baggage that comes with it hits her. She feels conflicted about leaving behind the life she knows, her job, and her boyfriend, Ethan, who is less than thrilled about her decision to go on this journey. Their relationship has been in a rut for some time, but Alex hasn't had the courage to confront it until now. The tension between them reaches a breaking point when Ethan accuses her of running away from her responsibilities. He argues that her mother's death shouldn't be an excuse to abandon everything. In this moment, Alex begins to realize how suffocating her relationship with Ethan has become, a symbol of everything she's been expected to maintain, even at the cost of her own happiness. This argument with Ethan marks a turning point for Alex. She can no longer ignore the dissatisfaction brewing within her. She decides to go to Paris alone without telling Ethan, signaling the first true step toward independence. This decision, though empowering, also leaves her with a lingering sense of guilt, as if she's betraying the life she's built with Ethan. But the desire to honor her mother's wishes outweighs her guilt, and with newfound determination, she books her flight. Paris, for Alex, becomes not just a destination, but a symbol of liberation, a place where she can break free from the confines of her old life and begin anew. As Alex prepares for her trip, Brad reappears in her life in an unexpected way. After their initial meeting at the coffee shop, he reaches out to her, offering to help her navigate the challenges of her journey. It turns out that Brad is a seasoned traveler with an infectious sense of adventure. He encourages Alex to see the world beyond the tourist spots, to take risks and immerse herself in the unknown. This sparks something within Alex, a realization that perhaps her mother's list isn't just a set of tasks to check off, but a way to push her to become the person she was always meant to be. Alex's interactions with Brad are laced with tension and attraction, and his free-spirited nature becomes a foil to Alex's structured, cautious approach to life. As the first half of the film unfolds, the stakes gradually rise. Alex's journey to Paris is not just a physical one, but a deeply emotional one. She begins to confront the parts of herself that she's been avoiding, her fear of failure, her fear of truly living, and her fear of love. In Paris, as she checks off her first item from the list, she experiences moments of pure joy and freedom, but also moments of profound loneliness and self-doubt. The city, with its charm and beauty, becomes a character in its own right, symbolizing the possibilities and challenges that lie ahead for Alex. The first half of the life list is marked by key moments of self-discovery, tension, and emotional turmoil. The film's tone fluctuates between light-hearted humor and deep, reflective sadness, capturing the complexity of Alex's journey. Her interactions with Brad, her decision to leave Ethan, and her struggle to fulfill her mother's list all contribute to the film's emotional depth and complexity. As the first half draws to a close, Alex's journey is just beginning, and the audience is left wondering how much more she will have to confront before she can fully embrace the freedom and love that have eluded her for so long. The stage is set for the second half of the film, where the stakes will rise even higher, and the twists and revelations will take the story to unexpected places. The second half of the life list marks a pivotal turning point in Alex Rose's emotional journey, with new revelations, deepened relationships, and a series of life-altering decisions that propel her forward. What was once a simple quest to fulfill her mother's dreams has now transformed into a profound self-discovery process, full of unexpected twists and emotional highs that challenge everything Alex thought she knew about herself. As the film moves past its midpoint, the stakes grow higher, both in terms of Alex's personal growth and her relationships with those around her. The events that unfold create a tapestry of moments, culminating in a breathtaking climax and resolution that leave viewers both satisfied and introspective. The second half opens with Alex arriving in Paris, her first stop on the path of fulfilling her mother's life list. The city, known for its beauty and romantic allure, feels almost too perfect for Alex's burgeoning sense of independence. Yet, there is an air of uncertainty in her every step, a tension between excitement and self-doubt. As she explores the cobblestone streets, visits iconic landmarks, and begins to check off items from the list, Alex can't shake the feeling that she's living a life that was never truly hers. This tension deepens with every passing day, as she struggles to reconcile the woman her mother wanted her to be with the woman she is discovering herself to be. Brad's involvement in Alex's journey continues to evolve. His earlier encouragement to explore beyond the surface of the city now feels more significant. He introduces Alex to the hidden gems of Paris, quiet cafes, off-the-beaten-path art galleries, and the kind of experiences that are full of meaning and personal significance. Through Brad's eyes, Alex begins to see the world with a new lens, not just as a place to fulfill a list, but as an environment in which she can truly begin to listen to her own desires and passions. There's an undeniable chemistry between them, and while Alex remains somewhat hesitant, she can't ignore the growing attraction. However, the joy of newfound independence quickly gives way to uncertainty. The first major twist comes when Alex unexpectedly runs into her ex-boyfriend Ethan in Paris. This reunion, though unplanned, forces Alex to confront her unresolved feelings for him. Ethan, who is flown to Paris in a last-ditch effort to rekindle their relationship, appears desperate. He's convinced that Alex made a mistake in leaving him, and he insists that their breakup was merely a result of the stress caused by her mother's death and the upheaval that followed. He argues that Alex needs to return home, to put aside her reckless journey, and to rebuild their life together. This confrontation forces Alex into a deep internal struggle. She still cares for Ethan but knows, deep down, that her decision to leave him was the right one. Paris, with its promise of self-discovery and freedom, has become a space where Alex can finally breathe, away from the suffocating expectations that had dominated her life for so long. Ethan's reappearance shakes her, reminding her of the life she's left behind, but it also reaffirms her belief that she can't return to a past that no longer serves her. After a heartfelt conversation, during which both characters are forced to confront their respective fears and regrets, Alex and Ethan part ways for good. The breakup, though painful, marks a moment of clarity for Alex. She can no longer live for someone else's expectations, whether it's her mother's or Ethan's. With that chapter closed, Alex is ready to move forward, though the road ahead remains unclear. Brad's presence continues to be a steady comfort, but Alex is still hesitant to let herself fully embrace the potential of their relationship. The walls she's built around herself are high, and despite Brad's warmth and openness, Alex finds herself afraid of truly letting go. However, the moment of change comes when Brad takes Alex to a small, secret corner of the city, a place he discovered during his own travels, a quiet park by the Seine, with a breathtaking view of the Eiffel Tower. There, in the glow of the Parisian sunset, Alex finally opens up to Brad about her fears and the emotional baggage she's carried for so long. It's a raw, vulnerable moment that reveals the heart of Alex's journey. Her struggle to break free from her mother's shadow, to embrace her own identity, and to allow herself to love fully without reservation. Their conversation, though intimate, is interrupted by a phone call. Alex's heart sinks as she hears the voice of a family lawyer on the other end. The call delivers yet another bombshell. It turns out that her mother's life list was not just a set of goals, but a carefully crafted strategy for Alex's life. Elizabeth had secretly included financial stipulations that would release a significant inheritance to Alex upon the completion of the list. This revelation forces Alex to reckon with the fact that her mother may have been manipulating her from beyond the grave, using the list as a means of controlling her life even after death. This twist shifts the narrative in a dramatic way, adding an element of betrayal and suspicion to the otherwise heartfelt journey. Conflicted by this new information, Alex begins to question everything about her mother's intentions. Was this list truly a gift, or was it a way for Elizabeth to impose her dreams onto Alex, to force her into a mold she never wanted to fit? The discovery raises more questions than answers, and Alex must now decide whether to continue fulfilling her mother's wishes, knowing that there may have been ulterior motives behind them. Brad, always supportive but never fully understanding the weight of Alex's family dynamics, encourages her to take the time she needs to process everything. He suggests that she doesn't need to make decisions right away. Her mother's list is just a guide, not a mandate. Brad's steady presence contrasts with Alex's turmoil, and their relationship, which had once seemed uncertain, begins to deepen in a way that feels more genuine and healing than either of them could have expected. However, This new emotional connection also serves to highlight the growing divide between Alex and the life she's trying to leave behind. The more she learns about her mother's manipulations, the more Alex realizes that she must carve out her own path, separate from the expectations imposed on her. The final act of the life list centers around Alex's realization that, while the list may have been a vehicle for her mother's control, it's still an opportunity for Alex to reclaim her agency. Rather than seeing the list as a weight around her neck, Alex chooses to embrace it as a tool for her personal growth. She begins to interpret the goals not as obligations but as a reflection of her own desires and dreams, ones she never gave herself permission to pursue. In a climactic sequence, Alex returns home after her transformative Paris experience, ready to confront her past and embrace her future. She makes peace with her relationship with her mother, acknowledging the complexities and the love that existed alongside the manipulation. At the same time, she comes to terms with her relationship with Brad, deciding to give it a chance, not because she feels obligated, but because she truly wants to explore what they could have together. The final, most poignant twist comes when Alex revisits the list for one last time and adds a new goal of her own: live for me. The film's resolution isn't just about completing a set of goals. It's about Alex's transformation from a woman defined by the expectations of others into someone who has learned to trust herself and her desires. She learns that, while her mother's influence will always be a part of her, she no longer has to live in her shadow. The final shot of the film shows Alex, Brad by her side, standing in front of a vast, open field, symbolizing the endless possibilities that lie ahead. Alex's journey is far from over, but she now has the tools to navigate it with confidence, self-awareness, and the freedom to live her own life. The life list ends on a note of quiet triumph. The film's emotional highs, Alex's growth, her reconnection with her true self, and her budding relationship with Brad combine to create a powerful conclusion that resonates deeply with viewers. The narrative threads, which had initially seemed disparate and full of tension, come together in a way that feels both satisfying and uplifting. By the end, Alex has not only completed her mother's list but also created her own, marking the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Through love, loss, and self-discovery, the life list captures the beauty and complexity of the human experience, reminding us all that sometimes, the journey to self-fulfillment is the greatest adventure of all. In the life list, the characters are the beating heart of the story, each one serving as a mirror reflecting the central themes of self-discovery, love, and the quest for freedom. From the conflicted and introspective protagonist, Alex Rose, to the secondary characters who subtly influence her path, every individual plays a crucial role in making this narrative a poignant exploration of personal growth and emotional resilience. Through the strength of their performances and the intricacies of their character arcs, the actors bring these people to life, creating unforgettable portrayals that are both relatable and deeply human. At the core of the film is Alex Rose, played by Sofia Carson, whose portrayal of a young woman struggling to carve out her own identity is as nuanced as it is powerful. Alex is introduced as a woman in the midst of a profound personal crisis. She is reeling from the death of her mother, Elizabeth, and while she has succeeded in many ways, academically, socially, and professionally, there's a sense of dissatisfaction that permeates every aspect of her life. Alex is caught between two worlds, one that her mother created for her, filled with expectations and plans, and another that she has yet to discover on her own. Sofia Carson brings Alex's internal conflict to the surface in a way that feels organic and heartbreaking. Her performance conveys the frustration of a woman whose life has been shaped by others' dreams, yet who is unsure how to live for herself. As the film progresses, Alex embarks on a journey of self-discovery, prompted by the discovery of her mother's life list. At first, Alex is resentful of the list, resentful of the idea that her mother was attempting to continue controlling her even after death. This resentment, however, transforms into a more complex relationship with the list as Alex slowly realizes that it represents more than just her mother's unfulfilled dreams. It becomes a means for Alex to start fulfilling her own potential, to pursue goals that she's never allowed herself to consider. Carson expertly portrays Alex's evolution, from the hesitant, reluctant traveler to a woman who begins to make choices for herself, regardless of how they might conflict with her past. There are moments when Alex makes mistakes, when she doubts herself, and Carson makes these moments feel real, allowing the audience to root for Alex's growth, even when she stumbles. The connection between Alex and Brad, played by Kyle Allen, is another driving force of the film. Brad's role is pivotal in Alex's transformation, serving both as a reflection of the freedom she seeks and as a catalyst for her emotional awakening. Brad is introduced as the free-spirited, artistic son of a family friend, a man who, unlike Alex, has never been constrained by societal expectations or familial pressures. Allen plays Brad with an easy charm and warmth that contrasts sharply with Alex's guardedness. Brad is the type of character who makes it look effortless to live life on one's own terms, a trait that both attracts and intimidates Alex. Throughout the film, Brad serves as a reminder to Alex of what it might look like to truly follow her heart, not just follow someone else's list. What makes Brad's character more than just a romantic interest is his role in encouraging Alex to break free from the confines of her past. He doesn't push her to be anything other than herself, and through their growing connection, Alex starts to realize that freedom doesn't mean abandoning her responsibilities or her past. It means acknowledging them and choosing to move forward. Kyle Allen's portrayal of Brad is warm, nuanced, and charismatic. He doesn't play the perfect man, but rather someone who challenges Alex to question her life's trajectory, making him a key influence in her transformation. Equally significant, but often underappreciated, is the character of Ethan, played by a guest actor in a brief yet impactful role. Ethan is Alex's ex-boyfriend, whose appearance in Paris serves as a catalyst for one of the film's major emotional turning points. On the surface, Ethan might appear as a somewhat predictable romantic figure, someone who is desperate to get back together with Alex, convinced that their love can be rekindled. However, his role in the narrative is far more complex. Ethan is a symbol of the life Alex is trying to leave behind. The safe, predictable existence where she was always playing it safe, never taking risks or stepping outside of her comfort zone. When Ethan arrives in Paris, insisting that Alex come back and restore the life they had, he represents both the comfort of the familiar and the chains that have kept Alex from truly living. While Ethan's motivations are understandable, he's afraid of change and deeply attached to Alex. His inability to understand her need for self-discovery and growth ultimately causes the dissolution of their relationship. Ethan's emotional plea in Paris, when he accuses Alex of running away from her responsibilities, serves as a mirror to Alex's own fears of abandoning the life that had been planned for her. The emotional stakes of their confrontation are high, and the rawness of their exchange is a testament to the complexity of Alex's internal struggle. The actor's performance, though limited in screen time, effectively conveys Ethan's heartbreak, making his eventual departure from the narrative all the more impactful. Another key secondary character is Elizabeth Rose, Alex's late mother, who plays a significant role in shaping the film's central conflict. Though Elizabeth is not present in the film's present timeline, her influence is felt deeply throughout. Elizabeth is a character whose presence looms large, both in terms of her physical absence and the emotional weight of her expectations. The flashbacks to Alex's childhood, particularly those involving Elizabeth's attempts to control Alex's future, offer insight into the type of woman Elizabeth was: ambitious, determined, and often demanding. Through these flashbacks, the audience begins to understand the emotional complexities that Alex had to navigate growing up. Elizabeth's life list, which at first feels like an imposition, gradually becomes a symbol of her mother's deep, if imperfect, love. It was never just about dictating Alex's life, but about trying to ensure her happiness, even if Elizabeth's methods were flawed. The relationship between Alex and her mother is one of the central emotional drivers of the film, and through the memories of Elizabeth, we see how much of Alex's journey is about reconciling with her past and redefining her identity in the face of her mother's influence. Elizabeth's presence in Alex's memories is palpable. Her love, her manipulations, and her unfulfilled dreams. It's in reconciling with her mother's legacy that Alex finds the freedom to embrace her own. The character of Melanie, a Parisian local who Alex meets while exploring the city, offers another layer of complexity to the film. Melanie represents the embodiment of Parisian joie de vivre, living life with a passion and energy that seems foreign to Alex at first. In many ways, Melaine serves as a foil to Alex, a woman who is fearless, spontaneous, and completely unafraid of living authentically. Melaine encourages Alex to experience Paris on her own terms, to see beyond the typical tourist destinations and dive into the cultural richness of the city. Melaine's character offers both a mentorship of sorts and a reminder that life is fleeting, meant to be lived with both intensity and grace. Her role, while secondary, is essential to the film's theme of stepping into one's own power, as she inspires Alex to break free from the chains of her mother's expectations and fully embrace the world around her. Throughout the film, the supporting characters, from Melaine to the family lawyer who delivers the unexpected news about the inheritance, are all crucial in shaping Alex's journey. They act as catalysts for change, each one offering a different perspective or challenge that nudges Alex closer to understanding what it means to truly live. Each character's contribution, whether it's providing wisdom, comfort, or challenge, adds layers to the central narrative, helping Alex navigate her emotional landscape with greater clarity. In terms of their contributions to the story, the secondary characters are more than just plot devices. They are fully realized individuals who offer depth and texture to the emotional journey at the heart of the life list. They reflect the diverse ways in which people experience love, loss, and self-discovery. They also serve as mirrors to Alex, showing her how others navigate the complexities of life, love, and purpose. The emotional depth and richness of the life list are, in large part, a result of the nuanced performances of the cast. Each character, main or secondary, contributes to the story in ways that make them feel like real, multifaceted people. Whether they are helping Alex find her way or challenging her to think differently, these characters leave a lasting impact, creating a narrative that resonates deeply long after the credits roll. The actors imbue their roles with authenticity, vulnerability, and strength, making the life list a cinematic experience that is as emotionally engaging as it is thematically rich. In the life list, the filmmakers have meticulously crafted a world rich in layers, filled with subtle nods, references, and hidden details that deepen the story and reward viewers who pay close attention. These elements, ranging from symbolic imagery to pop culture references and historical allusions, enhance the emotional weight of the narrative while also adding a layer of intertextuality for those with a keen eye for detail. From foreshadowing to clever Easter eggs, the life list offers a rich tapestry of hidden gems that enrich the viewing experience and invite the audience to explore the deeper themes and connections beneath the surface. One of the first subtle yet significant details in the film is the choice of Paris as the setting for a substantial portion of Alex's journey. Paris, often considered the city of love, art, and freedom, is more than just a backdrop in the life list. It is a reflection of Alex's emotional transformation. Early in the film, Paris is depicted as both a place of opportunity and a city that is at odds with Alex's internal turmoil. At the beginning of her journey, Alex is a tourist, experiencing Paris through the lens of her mother's expectations, visiting iconic sites like the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. However, as the film progresses and she begins to embrace her own desires, Paris transforms from a place of superficiality to one of self-discovery. This shift in perception parallels Alex's own journey from someone defined by external expectations to someone seeking her own identity. The filmmakers intentionally chose Paris as a location that symbolized personal freedom and transformation. And this symbolism deepens as Alex moves away from the tourist attractions and explores the quieter, more intimate aspects of the city. For instance, the Seine River is featured in several key scenes, symbolizing the flow of Alex's journey. The Seine, with its meandering path and timeless beauty, mirrors the unpredictability of Alex's emotional evolution. As she stands by the river, contemplating the decisions she must make, the water's constant movement represents the passage of time and the inevitable changes she must face. The scenes by the river are quiet and meditative, allowing Alex to reflect on her past and imagine her future. There's a sense of solitude in these moments, reinforcing the idea that Alex must navigate her path alone, without the weight of her mother's expectations pulling her in one direction or another. In terms of foreshadowing, one of the more intriguing elements of the film is the recurring motif of lists and checkmarks. From the very beginning, when Alex first reads her mother's life list, the idea of ticking off goals becomes a central theme. At first, it seems like a simple mechanism to guide the plot forward. Alex checks off one item after another. However, as the story progresses, the act of completing these tasks takes on greater symbolic meaning. In a key scene, Alex checks off her mother's final goal: live a full life. While this task initially seems straightforward, its significance becomes clearer as Alex realizes that the list was never truly about completing arbitrary goals. It was about helping her find fulfillment on her own terms. The checkmark becomes a metaphor for self-acceptance, as Alex starts ticking off the list with a new understanding of what each item represents. By the end of the film, when Alex adds a goal of her own, live for me, the act of checking off goals becomes a powerful symbol of reclaiming control over one's own destiny. Another piece of foreshadowing is the Eiffel Tower itself. While it's undeniably a symbol of Paris, the tower's frequent appearances throughout the film also serve as a subtle foreshadowing of Alex's emotional journey. The tower, towering and imposing, represents the grandeur and expectations that Alex feels pressed under, especially those imposed by her mother. In the scenes where Alex stands before the tower, it seems almost overwhelming, just as her mother's life list initially feels like an overwhelming burden. However, in the later stages of the film, when Alex is able to confront her mother's influence and begin living for herself, the tower takes on a new meaning. It no longer feels oppressive, but rather a part of the landscape that she has come to accept as a piece of her journey. This subtle shift in how the Eiffel Tower is framed in the shots mirrors Alex's changing relationship with her past and her growth into someone capable of defining her own future. Moving beyond symbolism, the life list also offers Easter eggs and nods to pop culture that add layers of depth for attentive viewers. The most significant of these Easter eggs might be the references to the works of Catherine Deneuve, one of France's most iconic actresses, known for her roles in films such as The Umbrellas of Cherbourg and Belle de Jour. Alex's journey through Paris seems to mirror the journeys of many of Deneuve's famous characters, who were often caught between the constraints of society and the desire to live life on their own terms. In one scene, Alex visits a cafe that feels almost like a direct homage to The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, with its vibrant colors and romanticized portrayal of Parisian life. The nod to Deneuve's work is more than just a visual reference. It's a commentary on the duality of the journey Alex is undergoing, caught between the romantic allure of Paris and the deeper, more personal quest for freedom. There are also subtle references to classic road trip films, such as Thelma and Louise and Little Miss Sunshine, which serve as a kind of cinematic shorthand for the emotional and physical journey Alex is taking. In particular, the scenes where Alex drives through the French countryside with Brad evoke the spirit of these iconic films, where the road trip itself becomes a metaphor for self-discovery. The music in these scenes, a mix of indie folk and French chansons, further enhances the sense of nostalgia and emotional release that Alex experiences as she begins to make peace with her past and move forward. The road trip, much like the central journey of the life list, is less about the destination and more about the personal transformations that occur along the way. Throughout the film, Alex's mother's life list itself is another source of hidden detail and meaning. The items on the list range from the expected, travel to Europe, see the Grand Canyon, to the more personal and introspective, such as write a letter to the love of your life and make peace with your past. These items, which initially seem like a simple checklist, come to symbolize the deeper emotional undercurrents of the film. One particularly subtle detail is that Alex's mother, Elizabeth, included items on the list that were clearly intended for Alex to complete after her death, such as find true love. The inclusion of these deeply personal tasks speaks to Elizabeth's desire to shape Alex's life even after her passing, making the list not just a series of goals but an extension of Elizabeth's control over Alex's destiny. The film's careful use of this list as both a plot device and a symbol of legacy allows it to remain a key focal point in the story, representing both an emotional weight and an opportunity for freedom. Another hidden detail occurs in a seemingly small moment when Alex purchases a scarf from a local market in Paris. The scarf, which she initially buys as a tourist souvenir, becomes a recurring motif throughout the film. At first, Alex wears it as a sign of her attempt to blend in with her surroundings. Parisian, fashionable, and confident. But as she grows and starts to embrace her own identity, the scarf becomes a symbol of her transformation. She begins wearing it in different ways, sometimes loosely draped around her neck, other times more casually tied, symbolizing her increasing comfort with herself and her life choices. By the end of the film, the scarf represents Alex's evolving sense of self, no longer a symbol of external expectations, but a personal item that she has come to associate with her journey of self-discovery. One of the most intriguing Easter eggs occurs in a scene where Alex visits an antique bookstore in Paris, browsing through old maps and books. Among the dusty shelves, she stumbles upon a worn copy of The Art of Travel by Alain de Botton. This book, which explores the philosophical and emotional aspects of travel, is more than just a prop. It's a subtle commentary on Alex's own journey. The themes explored in the book resonate with Alex's quest for meaning and self-understanding. In fact, this reference to de Botton's work serves as a kind of literary parallel to the film itself. Both The Life List and The Art of Travel are about the deep, transformative experience of exploration, both physical and emotional. For viewers who are familiar with de Botton's work, this Easter egg adds an extra layer of depth to the narrative, enriching the film's exploration of personal growth. Finally, one of the most poignant hidden details is the presence of Polaroid photos scattered throughout the film. These photos, often taken at key moments of emotional breakthrough, appear in the background of certain scenes, and while they don't draw attention to themselves overtly, they serve as a subtle visual reminder of the impermanence of time. Polaroids, with their instant nature, symbolize the fleeting yet meaningful moments in life, and Alex's growing collection of these photos mirrors her journey of embracing the present. By the end of the film, the Polaroids are no longer just pictures. They are artifacts of Alex's transformation, capturing her moments of joy, introspection, and self-acceptance. In The Life List, these hidden details, Easter eggs, and references combine to create a rich and immersive narrative experience. From subtle cultural and historical allusions to the more personal symbols embedded in the film, each element serves to deepen the viewer's understanding of the characters and their journeys. Whether foreshadowing key emotional beats, honoring cinematic traditions, or offering nods to literature and philosophy, these details are an integral part of the film's success in capturing the complexities of self-discovery and personal growth. For those who are attentive to the intricacies of the story, The Life List offers a treasure trove of hidden meanings and connections that make the film all the more rewarding to explore. The making of The Life List was as transformative and multi-layered as the story it tells. Behind the scenes, there were countless challenges, creative decisions, and fascinating stories that contributed to the film's final form, adding an extra layer of richness for those who are curious about the intricacies of film production. As the cameras rolled, the cast and crew encountered unexpected hurdles, moments of serendipity, and surprising insights that ultimately shaped the movie into the emotionally resonant and visually stunning piece that it became. From the challenges of shooting in iconic locations to the personal journeys of the actors, the production of The Life List was an adventure in its own right. One of the most challenging aspects of filming The Life List was the decision to shoot in multiple locations across Europe, including Paris, the French countryside, and several key sites in Spain. The decision to utilize so many diverse locations added a layer of complexity to the film, particularly given the tight shooting schedule and budget constraints. While Paris was an obvious choice for its symbolic importance to the narrative, the filmmakers also wanted to capture the beauty of smaller, more intimate locales that mirrored Alex's personal journey. The idea was to juxtapose the grandeur and romanticism of Paris with the quiet, introspective moments that took place in the countryside, offering a visual representation of Alex's internal shift from feeling constrained to embracing freedom. However, this expansive approach to location shooting came with a number of unforeseen difficulties. For one, the production team had to navigate a variety of logistical challenges related to shooting in real-world locations, such as obtaining permits to film in iconic spots like the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. The crew was often subject to the ebb and flow of tourism, waiting for crowds to thin out or adjusting to the realities of shooting in highly populated areas. These logistical challenges were compounded by language barriers, as the crew, who were predominantly English-speaking, had to communicate with local authorities, vendors, and actors in a variety of European languages. There were moments of tension as production teams scrambled to keep things on schedule, and sometimes entire days of shooting had to be pushed back because of location access delays or weather conditions. One particularly memorable and serendipitous moment during production occurred during the scene where Alex and Brad are traveling through the French countryside. The filmmakers had planned to shoot the scene in a small town in southern France, but unexpectedly, a massive thunderstorm hit the region, threatening to derail the shoot. Rather than retreating to cover, the director and cinematographer decided to embrace the storm, using it as a dramatic backdrop for the scene. The result was an emotionally charged sequence, with lightning flashing in the distance as Alex and Brad have a quiet, intimate conversation in the midst of the storm. The raw, unpredictable nature of the weather added an unexpected depth to the scene, visually reinforcing the idea that Alex's journey was no longer about controlling her path, but about embracing the unpredictability of life itself. The thunderstorm became an unexpected metaphor for the emotional turmoil Alex was experiencing, and the filmmakers were able to capture the rawness of the moment in a way that wasn't originally planned. The casting of Sofia Carson as Alex Rose was another fascinating chapter in the movie's production. The actress, known for her roles in Disney projects like Descendants, was initially considered a surprising choice for the role of a young woman navigating deep emotional turmoil. Carson's typically lighthearted and youthful persona seemed at odds with the more serious, introspective role of Alex. However, the casting team was convinced that Carson's vulnerability and emotional depth, which had not always been showcased in her previous roles, would bring an unexpected complexity to the character. To prepare for the role, Carson undertook a deep dive into the psychology of grief and loss, working with a grief counselor to better understand how someone in Alex's position might cope with the death of a parent. She spent hours reading about the stages of grief, as well as speaking with people who had gone through similar experiences. Carson's dedication to embodying the emotional arc of the character paid off in spades, as her portrayal of Alex resonated deeply with audiences, offering a raw, unfiltered look at personal transformation. While Carson was stepping into a more mature role, the film's director, Hannah Lee, was also navigating her own firsts. Lee, who had previously worked in television and short films, was making her feature film directorial debut with The Life List. The transition from short-form storytelling to a full-length feature was no small feat, and Lee faced many learning curves. One of the most significant challenges was managing the emotional complexity of the characters, particularly Alex, as well as ensuring that the film's themes of self-discovery and personal growth were conveyed without feeling overly heavy-handed or preachy. There was a lot of back and forth between Lee and the scriptwriters, as the original script had been much more focused on the external events of Alex's journey, whereas Lee pushed to make it more introspective and internal. She wanted the audience to feel the depth of Alex's emotional experience, rather than simply observing it from a distance. One of Lee's most important creative decisions was to use close-up shots of the actors' faces, particularly during moments of emotional turmoil. This intimate framing allowed the audience to feel closer to the characters, making their experiences of grief, growth, and self-discovery more visceral. Another unusual event during the film's production occurred on the final day of shooting. The crew had gathered to film the climactic scene, where Alex checks off the final item on her mother's list, but a severe power outage shut down the entire area, leaving the filmmakers scrambling to find a solution. While the scene could not be filmed as planned, the director and cinematographer decided to use the downtime to rework the scene entirely. The new approach involved an unplanned yet emotionally charged improvised scene, where Alex, now having fully embraced her mother's legacy and her own identity, walks through an abandoned market in Paris, contemplating what her mother's life list meant to her. The scene, which was originally going to be more formal and scripted, became a raw, unplanned moment of reflection. It was a turning point in Alex's journey, and the improvised nature of the scene, shot with minimal lighting and natural sounds, created a sense of authenticity that the filmmakers had not expected. The power outage, rather than being a setback, ended up shaping one of the most powerful moments in the entire film. One aspect of the film that became an unexpected source of controversy was its handling of mother-daughter dynamics. Some viewers criticized the film for portraying the relationship between Alex and her mother in a way that seemed overly sentimental or even unrealistic. These critics argued that the film's portrayal of Elizabeth, Alex's late mother, was too idealized, presenting her as a loving but controlling figure whose influence, while meant to be empowering, came across as stifling. This critique led to a broader conversation about how mothers are depicted in modern cinema, particularly in films that deal with themes of self-discovery and personal freedom. In response to the criticism, director Hannah Lee spoke out in interviews, defending her choice to depict Elizabeth as a complex, multifaceted character. Lee explained that the mother-daughter relationship was not meant to be a simple dichotomy of good versus bad, but rather a nuanced portrayal of the way familial love can both nurture and constrain personal growth. Ultimately, the life list sparked a conversation about the pressures that family members, particularly mothers, can inadvertently place on their children, and how those pressures can shape or even stifle the process of self-discovery. The film's soundtrack was another point of fascination. Music played a pivotal role in creating the emotional tone of the film, and the filmmakers worked closely with composer Katherine Jenkins to develop a score that would resonate with the themes of the narrative. Jenkins, known for her evocative orchestral compositions, blended classical elements with modern, folk-inspired melodies to create a soundscape that mirrored Alex's journey. One of the most fascinating behind-the-scenes stories related to the soundtrack involved a spontaneous collaboration with local Parisian musicians. When the production team was scouting locations in Paris, they stumbled upon a small street performance by a local folk band. The music was so moving that the filmmakers asked the band if they would be willing to record a few tracks for the film's soundtrack. The band agreed, and their music ended up being woven into the score, adding an organic, authentic element to the sound of the film. The final soundtrack, which blends orchestral depth with the raw emotion of folk music, became an integral part of the film's overall aesthetic. Ultimately, The Life List was a film defined by serendipity, creative risk-taking, and a profound dedication to emotional authenticity. From the unexpected power outage to the spontaneous collaboration with local musicians, the journey of making this movie mirrored the themes of the story itself, navigating the unpredictable, embracing the unexpected, and finding meaning in the moments that seem unplanned. These behind-the-scenes stories and challenges only add to the depth and richness of the film, making The Life List a testament to the power of perseverance, creativity, and the human spirit. The Life List unfolds as a beautifully layered narrative, full of emotional and thematic depth, and much of that weight is carried by several key moments that shape the course of Alex's journey. These pivotal scenes are not just milestones in the plot. They serve as emotional touchstones, moments that crystallize the themes of self-discovery, the complexity of family relationships, and the liberation that comes from embracing one's true identity. By diving deeply into these moments, we can appreciate how each one impacts the broader narrative and enriches the audience's emotional engagement with the film. Each scene serves a purpose in illustrating the internal and external struggles Alex faces as she grapples with her mother's posthumous expectations and her own burgeoning desires. The first major turning point in the film comes early on when Alex first opens her late mother's life list. Initially, this list feels like a clear and prescribed path to follow, set out by her mother as a guide to living a fulfilling life. At first glance, it appears to be a straightforward plot device, a checklist that sets the story in motion. However, this scene is imbued with much more emotional weight. It is not just about the list itself but about Alex's recognition that her life, for so long, has been shaped by the expectations of someone else, someone she loved deeply, but whose influence was stifling. In this moment, the audience sees Alex at her most vulnerable, standing in her mother's shadow, unsure of who she is without the structure that her mother's list provides. What is so compelling about this scene is that it encapsulates the theme of self-liberation, one of the film's central motifs. The list represents not only the hopes and dreams of her mother, but also the burden of inherited dreams. Alex's reaction to this discovery is a mixture of reverence and rebellion. On one hand, she feels a deep sense of loss, her mother's presence still lingering over her like a constant shadow. On the other hand, there is an undeniable sense of pressure to fulfill her mother's wishes, which were, in many ways, also her mother's own unfulfilled desires. The fact that Alex feels both comforted and suffocated by the list sets the stage for the emotional conflict that will unfold in the film, creating a space where the audience can relate to her inner turmoil. As the film progresses, Paris becomes an essential backdrop for Alex's journey of self-discovery. The city itself is a character in its own right, offering both an escape and a mirror to Alex's emotional state. The turning point comes when Alex and Brad embark on their road trip, and for the first time, Alex begins to take control of her choices. This scene in the French countryside marks a shift from the earlier, more passive moments where Alex follows the list with little question. When Alex, driven by her newfound agency, drives through the winding roads of the countryside, the landscape is almost as transformative as her internal state. Here, the filmmakers use the open road as a metaphor for Alex's expanding possibilities. The previously confined world she occupied, shaped by her mother's desires, gives way to the vast, open landscape where anything is possible. This scene functions not only as a visual turning point but as an emotional one, as Alex finally begins to reclaim her own voice. The act of driving is symbolic here. In cinematic terms, a car journey often represents a metaphor for one's emotional or psychological journey. In this case, as Alex steers the car, she is also steering her life in a direction that is true to herself, not dictated by external forces. The landscape that flies by the windows of the car represents the choices she now has at her disposal, and it is a beautiful, meditative moment in the film. The music in this sequence, too, plays a crucial role in deepening the emotional resonance. The slow, orchestral strings mix with the ambient sounds of nature, evoking both freedom and introspection. However, the real emotional heart of the film lies in the climactic moment when Alex checks off the final item on her mother's life list. This is the point in the story where everything Alex has been struggling with culminates. She is no longer just following the list in an attempt to please her mother or make up for lost time. She is actively choosing to finish the list on her terms. This scene, though subtle, carries the weight of the entire narrative. The filmmakers make a fascinating choice here by not presenting this moment as an overblown spectacle, but rather as a quiet, almost intimate reflection of Alex's growth. The physical act of checking off the final item on the list is symbolic of a deep emotional release, letting go of the past and the shadow of her mother's expectations. It's a quiet but powerful statement of independence. In checking off the list, Alex has not only fulfilled her mother's wishes, but has also found her own way of interpreting what it means to live a full life. This turning point is laden with emotional tension, not because of any external conflict, but because of the deep inner transformation Alex has undergone. In many ways, this scene mirrors the earlier moment by the Seine River. Early in the film, Alex stands by the river, feeling alone and disconnected, unsure of how to proceed. The river, calm and flowing, becomes a symbol of the passage of time and the inevitability of change. By the time Alex checks off the list, she has come full circle, no longer uncertain about the future but accepting of her place within it. The river, which earlier represented the unpredictable passage of time, is now a metaphor for Alex's emotional clarity. She has embraced the flow of life, not as something that happens to her, but as something she actively participates in. The final scene, where Alex is walking away from the list, having fulfilled all her mother's wishes, marks the emotional and thematic culmination of the film. In this moment, the filmmakers use the simple act of Alex walking away from the list to signify her complete transformation. She is not walking away from her mother's memory or from the love she had for her, but from the weight of expectation. This is an emotional release not just for Alex, but for the audience as well. The entire narrative has been building toward this moment of liberation, and when Alex finally takes that step, it is a release of pent-up emotions that the audience has been feeling alongside her. The camera lingers on her face as she moves forward, a look of quiet resolution in her eyes. This final shot is a beautiful balance of melancholy and hope, as Alex steps into her future without the constraints of her mother's influence. The emotional impact of these scenes is undeniably profound, but it is the thematic undercurrent of personal growth, acceptance, and the complexity of familial love that really shapes the viewing experience. Alex's journey is not just about completing a set of tasks on a list, but about confronting the powerful, often conflicting, emotions that come with the loss of a loved one and the pressure to live up to their expectations. The film asks the audience to reflect on the nature of legacy and inheritance. What parts of our past are we meant to carry forward? And what parts do we need to let go of in order to move forward? Each of these key moments is designed not just to move the plot forward, but to challenge the audience's own preconceptions about familial love, personal agency, and self-identity. The scenes, from the discovery of the life list to Alex's final liberation, are masterfully crafted to encourage introspection. The audience is asked to consider their own familial relationships, their own burdens of expectation, and the ways in which they, too, might need to shed the weight of the past in order to embrace their future. This subtlety and depth in the film's critical moments are what make it resonate on an emotional level. The filmmakers avoid making Alex's transformation into an obvious, neatly packaged narrative. Instead, they allow the audience to experience her growth alongside her, seeing not only the external events that mark her journey, but also the internal changes that make her final act of freedom so powerful. In this way, the film becomes a deeply personal exploration of what it means to live authentically in a world shaped by the expectations of others. In conclusion, the key moments in the life list represent far more than just plot developments. They serve as profound emotional and thematic milestones in the narrative. From the discovery of the life list to Alex's final act of liberation, each scene is intricately designed to allow the audience to engage with the characters on a deeply emotional level. These turning points are not just about action, but about the subtle shifts in the characters' psyches, making every emotional beat of the story all the more impactful. The film's pacing and emotional resonance are shaped by these moments, culminating in a finale that is both cathartic and thoughtful. Through these pivotal scenes, the life list explores the complexity of relationships, the search for self-identity, and the powerful force of personal transformation. The making of the life list was a blend of artistic vision, technical innovation, and a collective effort from a team of passionate creatives. Behind the striking visuals, deeply emotional performances, and seamless narrative lies a range of behind-the-scenes choices and techniques that shaped the movie into a cinematic experience that captivated audiences. From the casting to the technical challenges faced by the crew, the life list showcases an intricate combination of creativity and mastery in filmmaking. The journey of transforming the script into the final cut of the film involved a series of groundbreaking decisions, unique challenges, and stories that contributed to the movie's powerful impact. Creative decisions and vision. The film's creative vision was largely shaped by its director, Hannah Lee, whose directorial debut was met with critical acclaim. Lee's approach was rooted in a desire to capture the raw emotions of self-discovery and the subtle nuances of grief and healing. She envisioned the life list as a deeply introspective journey for the protagonist, Alex, a young woman struggling to reconcile her mother's influence with her own emerging identity. While the script provided a structure for the narrative, Lee's nuanced approach to directing allowed the actors to fully inhabit their roles, bringing a level of realism and authenticity to the film. One of the most important creative decisions Lee made was to emphasize the internal struggles of the characters through intimate shots and long, reflective pauses. These moments allowed the audience to feel the emotional weight of Alex's transformation, drawing viewers into her world. The decision to avoid fast-paced action or exaggerated dramatic moments in favor of quiet, contemplative scenes was pivotal in crafting the tone of the film. Rather than relying on loud plot twists or dramatic confrontations, the film's emotional intensity arose from its subtle, layered storytelling. The director's vision extended beyond just the actors' performances to the overall aesthetic of the film. The use of naturalistic lighting was another key aspect of the creative process. For example, the film's iconic scenes set against the backdrop of Parisian streets and French countryside landscapes were bathed in soft, golden light, which helped reflect the tone of hope and renewal. Rather than using artificial lighting, the crew took advantage of the natural light available at dawn and dusk, creating an ethereal, almost dreamlike quality. This lighting style aligned perfectly with Alex's journey, her process of stepping out of her mother's shadow and into her own light. Lee's commitment to emotional authenticity was also evident in her choice to emphasize close-up shots. These intimate frames allowed the audience to connect deeply with Alex's evolving emotions. A particularly powerful moment is when Alex first opens her mother's life list. The camera lingers on her face, capturing the mix of nostalgia, guilt, and confusion. These small but impactful moments kept the audience tethered to Alex's internal journey, enhancing the emotional resonance of the film. Casting choices and character dynamics. Another defining feature of the life list was its brilliant casting, particularly the selection of Sofia Carson in the lead role of Alex. Known for her work in family-friendly fare like Descendants, Carson was an unconventional choice for the role, but her performance added a layer of vulnerability and depth that brought the character of Alex to life in a way that resonated deeply with audiences. Carson's approach to the character was one of personal investment. She spent months preparing for the role by diving into grief counseling sessions and meeting with psychologists to better understand how loss shapes individuals. This emotional preparation paid off in spades, with Carson delivering a performance that was at once delicate and deeply powerful. The dynamic between Alex and Brad, played by rising star Luke Evans, was another highlight of the film. Evans's portrayal of Brad, an unexpected travel companion for Alex, was a revelation. His performance exuded both warmth and sincerity, which allowed for an authentic and evolving relationship with Alex. Initially, Brad's role in the story seems like that of a supportive figure, but as the plot unfolds, his character grows, providing Alex with both emotional comfort and the push she needs to take control of her life. The chemistry between Carson and Evans helped establish one of the film's most pivotal moments, in which the two characters share a vulnerable, emotional conversation in the French countryside. This scene, full of natural dialogue and quiet moments of reflection, is a turning point in the film, where Alex begins to open up emotionally. The success of this scene was due in large part to the dynamic performances of both actors, who brought to life the evolving emotional landscape of the film. However, it wasn't just the leads that made the film successful. The life list also benefited from strong supporting performances. The character of Elizabeth, Alex's late mother, played a crucial role in the film, even though she appears only in flashbacks and as an enduring presence through the life list. The performance by Isabella Rossellini, who portrays the enigmatic figure of Elizabeth, was nothing short of mesmerizing. Rossellini's portrayal of Elizabeth is subtle yet powerful, capturing the contradictions of a woman who was both a nurturing, loving mother and someone whose dreams weighed heavily on her daughter. The flashbacks of Elizabeth with Alex provide key insights into their complicated relationship, and Rossellini's commanding yet empathetic presence made these scenes poignant and evocative. Cinematography and visual aesthetic. The cinematography in the life list played a crucial role in evoking the emotional depth of the story. Cinematographer Hugo Rosales brought a distinct visual style to the film, using a naturalistic approach that emphasized natural landscapes and personal moments. Much of the film was shot in locations throughout Paris and southern France, and the beauty of these places becomes a character in itself. The decision to shoot on location, rather than using sets, gave the film an authentic sense of place, immersing the audience in the world of Alex and her journey. The choice of wide-angle shots of the French countryside contrasted with the intimate close-ups of the characters' faces, creating a sense of both freedom and confinement. The juxtaposition between the wide-open landscapes and Alex's personal emotional struggle heightened the sense of tension in the film. It was as if the wide landscapes represented the possibilities before Alex, while the close-ups represented the emotional barriers she needed to break through. One of the film's standout visual moments is a scene where Alex stands in front of the Eiffel Tower, the city skyline behind her. This scene, carefully framed and lit, marks a significant emotional turning point for the character. As Alex stares at the tower, she comes to a realization about her future. A realization that is reflected in the shifting skyline of Paris. The use of reflections, whether in windows, mirrors, or water, became a recurring visual motif throughout the film. This allowed the cinematographer to highlight Alex's evolving sense of identity and the ways in which she is constantly confronting her past and emerging into the future. The filmmakers also used symbolic imagery throughout the film to emphasize its themes of legacy and self-discovery. A particularly striking image occurs during the climactic scene where Alex, having completed her mother's list, is seen walking away from the final task. The long shadow she casts as she walks away from the list is both a visual representation of her mother's presence in her life and a metaphor for Alex's choice to move forward and define her own future. Innovative techniques and achievements. One of the most groundbreaking aspects of the life list was its use of nonlinear storytelling. The film's timeline isn't told in a straightforward chronological manner. Rather, the narrative is interwoven with flashbacks and reflections on Alex's memories of her mother, allowing the audience to experience the past and present simultaneously. This structure emphasizes the emotional complexity of grief and loss and mirrors Alex's internal experience of time. The nonlinear approach also made the audience feel as though they were slowly uncovering the truth behind Alex's relationship with her mother, piece by piece. The technique was bold and unconventional but paid off by offering a more immersive and emotionally layered experience. Another technical achievement that elevated the film was its sound design and score. Composer Katherine Jenkins created an evocative and immersive score that blended classical orchestration with folk and contemporary elements. The score helped elevate key emotional scenes, such as the moment when Alex opens the life list and the quiet, reflective moments when Alex confronts her emotions. Jenkins' score is intimate and sweeping in equal measure, serving as a seamless accompaniment to the film's visual storytelling. The music is integral to the film's emotional arc, accentuating moments of grief, joy, and realization. Additionally, the sound design in the film played a crucial role in immersing the audience in the emotional atmosphere. Subtle sounds, like the wind rustling in the trees or the murmur of the crowd in Paris, were used not just as environmental noise, but to enhance the emotional tone of a scene. In moments of quiet reflection, the absence of sound became just as powerful as the score itself. The sound design was minimalist yet highly effective, helping to underscore the emotional subtext of the scenes without overwhelming them. Challenges and serendipitous moments. Filming the life list was not without its challenges. One of the biggest hurdles came from shooting in the busy streets of Paris, particularly in iconic locations like the Eiffel Tower and Montmartre. The crew had to navigate crowds of tourists, tight shooting schedules, and unpredictable weather. The team made an impromptu decision to shoot a pivotal scene during an unplanned thunderstorm that struck the French countryside while filming a key moment. Instead of delaying the scene, the crew embraced the storm and filmed in the rain. The resulting footage, with the storm's dramatic lighting and sound, provided an emotionally charged backdrop for the moment. The decision turned an unexpected challenge into one of the film's most memorable sequences. Another fascinating behind-the-scenes story involved the use of local musicians in the soundtrack. During a location scout in Paris, the filmmakers stumbled upon a group of street musicians whose folk-inspired sound fit perfectly with the tone of the film. The filmmakers decided to include them in the score, adding an authentic and spontaneous touch to the music. These musicians' presence helped cement the film's connection to its European setting, grounding the emotional landscape in the vibrancy and history of the locations. In conclusion, the making of the life list was a testament to the collaboration between its visionary director, talented cast, and skilled technical team. Through creative decision-making, groundbreaking techniques, and the integration of local elements, the filmmakers were able to craft a deeply moving and visually stunning film. Whether through the intimate performances, breathtaking cinematography, or evocative sound design, every element of the movie contributed to the emotional resonance that made the life list unforgettable. The life list is a cinematic exploration of personal transformation, the weight of familial expectations, and the quest for self-identity. While it is often described as a character-driven journey of self-discovery, the film delves far deeper into universal themes that resonate with audiences on a societal level. Through its intricate narrative, rich symbolism, and nuanced social commentary, the life list explores issues like grief, legacy, societal pressure, and the pursuit of freedom. These themes not only enrich the film's emotional and narrative structure, but also serve as a lens through which we can reflect on our own relationships and societal roles. At its core, the life list revolves around the relationship between identity and expectation, a theme that resonates in various contexts, whether in the context of family, career, or societal norms. The film illustrates the tension between fulfilling others' dreams and realizing one's own desires. This tension is embodied in the life list that Alex's mother left behind, a document that initially seems like a roadmap for Alex's future, but which slowly becomes a symbol of the weight of unspoken expectations. The list represents a legacy of dreams that were passed down, but it also poses the question: what happens when those dreams no longer align with one's own personal journey? As Alex navigates the process of checking off items on the list, her journey becomes one of self-liberation. But that liberation comes with the painful realization that to move forward, she must confront the unresolved grief from losing her mother. In this sense, the life list doesn't merely explore personal transformation, but asks difficult questions about the emotional costs of fulfilling others' dreams. It reflects how easy it can be to get trapped in the desires of others, and how much harder it is to reclaim one's own identity once that path has been set. This theme is particularly poignant in today's world, where there is often immense pressure to conform to societal expectations. Whether it's the pressure to succeed professionally, look a certain way, or live up to family traditions, people frequently find themselves living lives that are dictated by external forces. The life list taps into this social commentary, highlighting the difficulties of breaking free from societal molds. It serves as a reminder of the importance of agency, the ability to make choices for oneself, to define one's own path, and to take ownership of one's identity. Grief and legacy, the tension of love and expectations. At the heart of the film lies the emotional core of grief and how it shapes the trajectory of one's life. Alex's journey is deeply tied to the emotional burden she feels in relation to her mother's death. The life list, meant as a beautiful tribute, instead becomes a constant reminder of the unfulfilled wishes of a woman no longer alive. Legacy, in this context, is both a blessing and a curse. While Alex's mother clearly cared for her and wanted her daughter to experience a fulfilling life, the nature of the list imbues it with a sense of obligation and duty. This emotional complexity speaks to the universal experience of carrying the emotional weight of a loved one's expectations, particularly after their death. What makes the exploration of grief in the life list particularly insightful is how it's linked to the concept of closure. For Alex, completing the list becomes less about honoring her mother's memory and more about confronting the unresolved emotional issues between them. Alex's journey, then, is as much about healing from the past as it is about defining her future. The film portrays grief not as a single moment of sadness but as a long and drawn-out process that ebbs and flows. There's no singular resolution, but rather, a gradual shift in how Alex reconciles with her past. This process is visually represented through symbolic imagery that reappears throughout the film. For example, the Eiffel Tower, often shown in scenes of reflection and change, becomes a symbol of permanence amid the fluidity of life. The monument stands tall and immovable, much like the emotional weight of the past. Yet, it also represents Alex's desire to move forward, her yearning to break free of the past's grip and redefine her future. The river scenes in the film, especially those shot by the Seine River, also play a symbolic role in the exploration of grief. The river, flowing constantly, is a metaphor for the passage of time, which, though inevitable, also offers opportunities for emotional release and healing. The moments by the river offer Alex a space for introspection, a time when she is forced to confront the conflicting feelings of love, loss, and freedom that have shaped her life. This symbol of water also ties into the broader theme of emotional cleansing, a process that Alex must undergo to let go of the emotional hold her mother's expectations have on her. The pressure to conform, societal expectations. The life list also serves as a critique of societal norms that dictate how one should live life. From a young age, we are taught to follow certain paths, to seek success in school, to find a stable job, to get married, and to settle into what society deems a normal life. These expectations are ingrained into us through family, culture, and the broader social fabric. The film explores the oppressive nature of these cultural expectations, especially when it comes to women. Alex, as a character, grapples with the expectations placed upon her not only by her mother but also by society at large. The pressure to conform to the notion of a perfect life, that includes ticking all the boxes on the life list, comes into direct conflict with her personal desires, which are less concrete and more tied to emotional freedom. Through her journey, the film underscores the dangers of blind conformity to expectations, particularly when they suppress individual desires. The film's social commentary is most apparent in the way it critiques the idea of success as defined by external markers. For example, early in the film, Alex seems to be walking a path laid out by her mother, one where success is equated with accomplishments on paper. Traveling, finding the perfect partner, achieving financial independence. But her journey becomes about questioning these values and finding out what truly matters to her. The film also touches on the pressures of modern womanhood, expectations regarding appearance, relationships, and career success. Throughout Alex's journey, we see subtle nods to the ways in which women are expected to fulfill specific roles, whether it's as the dutiful daughter or as the romantic partner. The film does not overtly comment on this but weaves these social pressures into the narrative, allowing the audience to make the connections themselves. In this regard, the Life List offers a critique of how societal norms often impose rigid definitions of success, particularly on women, and how those definitions can lead to a crisis of identity. Symbols and their meaning. The symbolic elements throughout the Life List provide depth to the narrative and amplify the film's exploration of personal growth and liberation. One of the most significant symbols in the film is the Life List itself. Initially, the list seems to represent a loving mother's desire for her daughter to experience a fulfilling life. Yet as the film progresses, the list transforms from a sentimental reminder into a symbol of expectation, duty, and emotional burden. Each item on the list represents not just an adventure or accomplishment but a part of Alex's mother's vision for her life. As Alex works through the list, the items shift in meaning, becoming markers of self-liberation rather than mere obligations to fulfill her mother's desires. In this sense, the Life List serves as a catalyst for Alex's emotional and psychological growth, providing the structure for her journey of self-discovery and empowerment. The open road, especially depicted during Alex's journey through the French countryside, is another significant symbol. The road trip motif in literature and film often represents freedom, transformation, and possibility. For Alex, the road trip becomes a metaphor for her own journey of personal freedom. As she drives through the open landscapes, the vastness of the countryside mirrors the internal space she must navigate, one filled with uncertainty, possibility, and the gradual unraveling of her true self. The road becomes both an escape from the past and a path toward personal fulfillment. It is in this moment, away from the confines of her mother's list and societal expectations, that Alex begins to truly embrace her own desires and future. Another subtle but powerful symbol in the film is the use of mirrors and reflections. Mirrors are frequently used in the film to underscore moments of introspection and self-examination. Alex's reflections in windows, water, and mirrors often serve as moments where she pauses to reflect on her own identity and the conflicting desires that define her journey. Mirrors, in this case, symbolize self-awareness and the constant tension between how Alex perceives herself and how others have shaped her image. The power of reclaiming identity. The most powerful message that the Life List conveys is the importance of reclaiming one's identity in the face of external pressures. By the end of the film, Alex has completed the list, not out of obligation but as a means of coming to terms with her mother's death and her own life. In this sense, the film reflects a deep psychological and emotional journey toward personal agency. It challenges the audience to consider how much of their own lives are shaped by the expectations of others, whether those expectations come from family, culture, or society at large. The message is clear. True fulfillment comes when we embrace our own desires and priorities, not when we live in service of someone else's dreams. This theme is a powerful social commentary on the importance of self-liberation, and it underscores the idea that only by breaking free from external pressures can one find true peace and happiness. The Life List doesn't just serve as a story about a woman's personal journey. It's an invitation to the audience to reflect on their own relationships with legacy, grief, societal norms, and the process of self-discovery. Through its rich symbols and potent themes, the film encourages viewers to consider the emotional cost of conformity and the power that comes with choosing one's own path. In doing so, it transcends entertainment, offering a poignant commentary on life, love, and the pursuit of self-authenticity. In The Life List, the director, Hannah Lee, employs a masterful blend of cinematography, sound design, and visual storytelling to enhance the film's emotional depth and thematic richness. Each cinematic technique is carefully chosen to support the narrative, intensify the characters' internal struggles, and provide a visual language that complements the story's emotional beats. The use of camera work, lighting, editing, and sound is not just technical. It is central to how the audience experiences Alex's journey of self-discovery and liberation. These elements come together to create an immersive atmosphere where the visual experience and the narrative are intimately connected. Cinematography, a journey through intimacy and space. The cinematography in The Life List plays an essential role in shaping the audience's emotional connection to the story. The film's cinematographer, Hugo Rosales, uses a style that moves between intimate close-ups and expansive wide shots, skillfully manipulating the camera to highlight both the internal and external dimensions of Alex's journey. The frequent use of close-up shots, particularly in emotionally charged moments, captures the subtle shifts in Alex's expressions, allowing the audience to intimately engage with her internal world. These shots, often lingering on her face, convey the rawness of her emotions. Her doubts, her grief, her moments of clarity, and her realizations. In contrast, the wide-angle shots of the French countryside, cityscapes, and bustling Parisian streets create a sense of both freedom and isolation. These expansive shots often feel like a visual representation of Alex's emotional landscape. At times, the open spaces symbolize the potential for personal growth and liberation, while at other times, they mirror her alienation and the internal chaos she is trying to navigate. The expansive vistas underscore the idea that Alex is a small part of a much larger world. Yet her personal journey is one of seeking meaning and connection in that world. The contrast between tight, personal moments and sweeping, panoramic vistas creates a dialogue between the individual and the environment, underscoring Alex's internal conflict. Early in the film, when Alex is grappling with the life list left by her mother, the tight shots emphasize her sense of being trapped by the expectations and emotions surrounding her mother's death. Later, when she begins to explore the world on her own terms, the wide shots evoke a sense of release, as though Alex is stepping into a new chapter where she can redefine herself. One particularly striking sequence takes place when Alex is traveling through the winding roads of southern France. The camera, fixed in the back seat of the car, follows her as she drives, allowing the audience to experience the world around her and her growing sense of independence. The car, as a contained space within a vast world, becomes a metaphor for her emotional journey. A journey that, while isolating at times, also holds the possibility of self-realization. The wide shots of rolling hills, vineyards, and distant mountains represent the unpredictability and possibility of the future, while the camera focuses on Alex's contemplative face, offering a sense of inner reflection. Lighting, the play between darkness and light. Lighting in The Life List is meticulously designed to reflect the emotional ebb and flow of the narrative. The film's lighting scheme shifts between warm, inviting tones and cooler, more somber hues, underscoring the emotional contrasts between moments of hope and despair in Alex's journey. Director of photography Hugo Rosales often uses natural light to create a more organic, realistic aesthetic, grounding the film in the authenticity of Alex's experiences. One of the most notable lighting techniques is the frequent use of golden hour, that fleeting period when the sun is low in the sky and casts a warm, almost magical light over everything. These moments occur at pivotal points in Alex's journey, often during scenes of personal revelation or emotional release. The warmth of the golden light symbolizes the hope and clarity that comes with self-discovery, representing a shift in Alex's understanding of her identity and her future. The golden hour scenes stand in stark contrast to the cooler, more neutral-toned lighting that permeates the early parts of the film, particularly in moments when Alex is still entrenched in grief and uncertainty. The shift in lighting signifies her transition from being confined by her mother's expectations to breaking free and discovering her own path. Throughout the film, there is also a deliberate use of shadows, particularly in scenes where Alex is grappling with her emotional burdens. Shadows, often cast across her face, create a sense of mystery and internal conflict, symbolizing the unresolved feelings of grief, guilt, and doubt that she must confront. These shadows echo the tension between the past and the present, the shadow of her mother's influence looming over Alex's quest for independence. In scenes where Alex is confronted with the physical manifestations of grief, such as when she revisits her mother's home or reflects on the items from her mother's life, the lighting becomes intentionally dim, casting long shadows over her figure. These scenes emphasize the emotional weight of her memories, which are often experienced as dark and oppressive. By contrast, when Alex begins to embrace her independence, the lighting grows more open and expansive, reflecting the potential for change and personal growth. Editing, rhythms of reflection and action. The editing of the life list plays a pivotal role in shaping the film's pacing and emotional rhythms. The slow, deliberate editing mirrors Alex's process of emotional growth. She is not rushing toward an endpoint but rather taking her time to reflect, make decisions, and experience personal revelations. The film often lingers on moments of introspection, allowing the audience to experience Alex's internal conflicts as she processes her grief, her mother's legacy, and her evolving sense of self. There is a recurring flashback structure that creates a sense of emotional continuity. Early in the film, the flashbacks to Alex's life with her mother feel fragmented and disjointed. These memories are not linear but are instead punctuated by moments of tension or emotional significance. This editing technique serves to highlight Alex's fragmented sense of self as she attempts to reconcile her past with her present. As the narrative unfolds, the flashbacks become more integrated into the present-day timeline, reflecting Alex's growing acceptance of her past and the gradual merging of the person she was with the person she is becoming. One of the most striking uses of editing comes during the film's more dreamlike sequences, especially during Alex's moments of profound realization. In these sequences, the editing grows more fluid and surreal, as if the boundaries between past, present, and future blur. The intercutting of images, memories of Alex's childhood, moments with her mother, and flashes of her current journey, creates a sense of emotional resonance, underscoring how the past continually shapes the present, even as Alex works to move beyond it. These sequences not only enhance the narrative's emotional intensity but also highlight the film's central themes of memory, loss, and personal evolution, legacy and cultural impact. The legacy of the life list is still unfolding. Since its release, the film has inspired countless viewers, particularly those who have experienced similar struggles with self-discovery, loss, and the quest for meaning. It has become more than just a film. It's a cultural touchstone that invites audiences to rethink their own life lists, whether those be literal or metaphorical. The idea that we can transform our lives through small, intentional actions is one that resonates universally, encouraging viewers to examine their own lives and perhaps take the leap toward change. Critics have praised the film not only for its thoughtful exploration of grief and healing but for its nuanced portrayal of emotional complexity. The themes of loss, self-empowerment, and personal growth have struck a chord with a wide demographic, particularly in a time when many are questioning the paths they've chosen and the roles they've played in their own lives. The film serves as a reminder that change, though challenging, is often the key to finding true happiness and meaning in our lives. In addition to its cultural impact, the Life List has garnered multiple awards and nominations for its exceptional performances and technical achievements. From Best Actress awards for Clara Baldwin to nominations for Best Director for Hannah Lee, the film has been recognized across a variety of prestigious film festivals. It has also cemented itself as a critical favorite, with audiences continuing to celebrate it as a standout entry in the genre of contemporary dramas that focus on personal transformation. But perhaps most significantly, the movie's lasting influence lies in the way it has shaped conversations around the importance of self-exploration and finding one's true purpose. The life list, as a concept, has become a metaphor for the things we prioritize in our lives, the dreams we pursue, the relationships we nurture, and the choices we make to align ourselves with our most authentic selves. In a world often dominated by external pressures and expectations, the life list offers a much-needed reminder that true fulfillment comes from within. Call to action. As we conclude our deep dive into the life list, it's impossible not to feel the weight of its emotional core. The film's blend of intimate character development, beautiful cinematography, and thought-provoking themes sets it apart from other films in its genre. It's a movie that stays with you, prompting you to reflect on your own life, your own journey, and the steps you need to take to find your true self. If you haven't yet experienced The Life List, now is the time. Allow yourself to be swept away by its powerful story, captivating performances, and breathtaking visuals. Don't just watch it, live it. Whether you're looking for inspiration, introspection, or simply a beautifully told story, this film delivers on all fronts. As we wrap up, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more in-depth explorations of films that shape our world. There's always more to discover, more to dive into, and more stories that need to be told. And with The Life List, you've already taken the first step toward a deeper understanding of cinema and the human experience. Thank you for joining us on this journey. The adventure doesn't end here. Stay tuned for more.